I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here at the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos at the World Economic Forum. Really pleased to be joined by Jasmine Whitbread, CEO of Save the Children. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
How was 2014? Did it live up to expectations?
You know, I was just reflecting that at this meeting we always try to predict the future. So, 12 months ago, we certainly, as humanitarian organisations, were thinking about, we knew that Syria was going to continue to be a problem, but we did not predict what happened over the border in Iraq. We knew that health systems were very, very weak, fragile in many countries, including Sierra Leone and Liberia. We never saw Ebola. We knew we'd have to respond to a whole range of kind of lower intensity conflicts, but we did not see Ukraine. So, we are really bad at being able to see into the future. And I think all we can do is actually try and be prepared for anything and be agile and try to stretch to respond to what comes at us. I mean, I just think that instead of predictions, which is what we're all trying to do now, we should make New Year's resolutions.
Right.
And we should resolve to address some of the underlying issues, like those health systems in Sierra Leone and Liberia, because that was not only predictable, we knew it. And if we had resolved the international community to really get behind that and do something about it, we'd still have had Ebola, but those countries would have been able to contain it. So
I think that's an interesting example, because while we have seen a lot of progress, it's not finished yet. And I was speaking to an expert in health today who was saying it's the last Ebola cases that are going to be the most difficult and the ones that are the most important to solve. From your perspective, responding to children in crisis, how did you see that play out?
Yes, in fact, we were running an Ebola session this morning as Save the Children and with all of our partners, and that really came across. There's almost it's a false dichotomy, really. Do we really focus on getting the job done and stopping the Ebola virus dead in its tracks, or do we start to think about the wider lessons and building back stronger health and education systems in those countries and in other fragile countries? Of course, we've got to do both. Right. It's not either or. But in terms of the building back, that really links to the other big agenda, which is the Millennium Development Goals. And I suppose that's the good news side of it. Right. There's all this doom and gloom, and it really is pretty tragic what's been going on for children in many ways when you look back on the last year and sadly when you look ahead. But it's amazing that those Millennium Development Goals that we've been tracking, it is 2015.
And it's here.
Yeah, it's here, and many countries have actually beaten those targets ahead of schedule. So Ethiopia, Malawi, Bangladesh, Nepal, they've already met their target to cut by 2/3 the number of children dying before their 5th birthday. And even in countries where, Afghanistan, there has been conflict, really tough time, those rates have come down as well, both maternal and child mortality. So there are some good news stories on education as well.
What's going to come after these Millennium Development Goals?
So that, of course, is what everybody continues to debate. I think I'm feeling a little more optimistic than I was this time last year, when it was looking like people wanted to put everything on the table. I mean, it was turning into, instead of 8 Millennium, there were dozens and dozens. And everybody kind of agreed that that was never going to work, but no one would agree which ones to take off the table. So now it's down to a more manageable number, still arguably a little less focused than we would like to see. But I'm feeling optimistic that we will be able to get those Sustainable Development Goals. But everything is to play for this year. So there's a range of summits through the year, and the public really have to mobilise and let their leaders know that they want politicians and world leaders to grab this opportunity and finish the job and get it to zero. It shouldn't just be half the children, or 3/4. There are a lot of children being left behind in all countries, by the way. It's not just the poor countries. And we really have it within our grasp to finish the job now. So a lot lies in the balance this year.
Jasmine, thank you so much for stopping by the Hub Culture Pavilion here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.